Shoo shoo! Welcome to SimTVcribs, guys. It's Chelsea Cheese here. I am going to do a full build for you guys today, but I'm also going to show you some little tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. So not a full how-to. One of my biggest pet peeves with doing a build is when my house is not centered. So this is what I'm doing here. It's just making sure, like I go through and I count the grid lines to make sure that it's centered before you start off. I decided to make a wraparound deck for this house. This is a smaller lot. I forgot the exact size, but if you download it, it'll tell you the size lot. So I normally don't make a big deck when I have a smaller lot like this or a wraparound deck, but I just really wanted one. I love to have a pool in my backyard for my Sims, and so since I didn't have one, I decided to do a deck instead. So one thing about the decks that you guys see me struggling with right here is you can't pull and shape them the same way you can with your walls, like how I was easily able to build that wall. Here I had to add those two smaller rectangles to get this shape. And towards the end of the video, you'll see me trying to resize that because I didn't really leave enough room or I think I did, but not enough room, in my opinion, for people to walk by. I hate when my Sims get stuck in a spot and they do that little turnaround thing. It annoys me. I don't know what I was doing there, but just designing along the way, trying to be creative, trying to do something different. I don't like it when I always do the kind of the same styles, you get stuck with the style that you like. So trying to change it up can sometimes be a little difficult, but it's fun to change it up once you finally do. Don't be afraid to explore and try that funky style or that something that you wouldn't typically have in your own house. I think playing The Sims is the time where you can do something different. One of my favorite things that you used to not be able to do and now you're able to is put things behind or kind of under the stairs. You can't go too deep under the stairs, but now I love to put a little half bath whenever I have stairs because it's kind of just dead space and I do not like dead space. So again, I'm being semi-symmetrical here. My stairwell is nice and centered. I like to have a double stairway. I can't remember if I went back and added railings to this stairway. If I didn't, I would if I were you. It gives it that grand look when there's stairwells. I meant when there's railings on the stairwells. So again, here I'm trying to find some wallpaper or some paint that's not too dark since I have dark flooring. And that little house would not have been big enough for a family, and I wanted to make this a family home, so I added, the second floor here that'll have some of the kids' bedrooms. As I've stated before, I am not really good at building roofs, but I have learned some things. So I used to just build like one of these types of roofs here and try to fill up my entire house. And I would get really frustrated that I couldn't fill up the entire house, especially when I have those dual size houses, like the second story is smaller or bigger than the first story. So using another roof like I'm doing right here, even though I'm going to delete this, is kind of your ticket to getting back to normal with your roofs. One of the other hard things is keeping them flush, and I'll show you what I mean by that in just a moment when I realize that I need to change out that type of roof there. But what you saw that I did at the second store is I used two roofs and kind of overlapped them, and then you can change the height of them so that you can really see that they look different. And it gives it a really cool effect, even if you have a lower roof, which I will lower these down, but I do suggest keeping them up pretty high until it's time for you to finish with the resizing. So you see, lowering my roof height is the last thing I will always do. And that has really helped me kind of master roofs. The other thing, the reason why I love to have symmetrical houses is because I can do things like that and duplicate one side to the other. So this is where I decide I can't get that to be flush. That's kind of what I'm turning around. I don't like the way that looks right there. So it'll never get flush because it's two different types of roofs. One is that hipped roof, and then the other is the slanted. So because that corner there is slanted, I want to match up corner to corner. So you just have to use your resizing tools and resize that. Make sure you're going left to right so you can see if your roof will look flush. Now, if it's actually flush in real life, who knows? But this is not real life. So now it looks like there's one roof. I used to think that people had a roof that looked like this. I didn't know that it was roofs on top of each other, or next to each other, I should say. So again, using that duplicate button, and now it looks like those are like custom built roofs. I wanted to kind of do something similar here with the slant, or even with the hipped one, but it ended up kind of looking a little funky, so I decided to delete that. One thing that I didn't add until after my build, and I highly suggest you doing, is using the roof tools that give you the effect of like that thicker roof. I can't think of what it's called right now, but it's the button that's right below the roof that gives you that like thicker roof line. It's really cool. It gives your roof like this really cool, like bold effect. Especially if you're doing a like country style house. I really think it's all style houses. It just makes it look more realistic. Different again, depending on the type of style of house you're building, you might want to change up the thickness of that. So here it kind of looks like my roof kind of flushes into each other, and I love that. But then it still has that distinct difference to where it gives a pretty cool like craftsman like effect that I was going for. I end up changing up my paint here, guys, so don't worry. It doesn't look like that in the final build. So yeah, I'm about to make the camera go speedy again, because paint is not necessarily a struggle of mine, but I definitely try to make it look realistic. And because I have so many paint options, I always try to go crazy with the paint. And I realize, whoa, I need to chill out with paint. The next thing that I wanted to show you guys that I wish someone had shown me was using half walls. In my opinion, I don't think Sims did a really good job of showing us not really how to use half walls, but the sizing on them is really hard to tell the size wall that you're getting until you actually build it. So don't be afraid to play around with it. There are a lot of different size options. I want to say it's by like 1/4 of an inch differences. So it's hard to tell the difference, but you'll like that you have those differences there. Here I'm kind of just spacing out the room that I'll need for hallway and then for this half wall around my stairs. So you want to just start off with using the build a wall and build the wall wherever you want, and then you're going to choose the half wall option here. I accidentally did the trim, and this is what I mean. It gives you like the measurement there, but again, that's really hard to tell. And right now I'm in that top to bottom view, so I got to change that. And the other thing that makes it a little hard to tell is that they put that glass looking thing around it, and I used to think that that's how it was going to look. So I never would finish off because I didn't want that glass. If you do, there is an option for you to have a little glass wall there, but it won't be there unless you build it there. You have to actually click off for that to go away, and then you'll see what your wall actually looks like. So don't be intimidated by it like I was. Maybe you're not, but I was always really intimidated by it because of its I guess its format on Sims. So I'm gonna have my picture go fast, fast again. Here I'm just designing, and I know that that's not always the most fun. But here's that little pocket restroom half bath that I was telling you guys about. Super simple. So, what is y'all's favorite? Well, maybe not favorite, but what do you go overboard with? Sometimes I go overboard with windows. And you'll see that in some of my other builds. Like every little, like I've sometimes have a whole wall full of windows. So I try to dial it back when I don't want that to be my huge focus, especially with the beach. Like at Sulani, I love to have just the view of the ocean. Like that was the whole point of living on a beach, right? Not to look at walls. Sometimes I go overboard in the kitchen and I do way too many counters. I am in this build going to include some cabinets, which is not something that I normally do, but I think it's a lot of fun. One thing, if you're a newbie with building, that you'll soon to kind of find out that you're able to do is you know how big certain items are. So when I built that table, I used to have to count out the squares. Now, or like I'd have to go look at the table that I think that I'd want and then try to fit it in the room. Or I would build the room too small and then I couldn't fit the table or I couldn't fit the kitchen in. As you begin to design and decorate your own houses, you'll remember, okay, tables are about this big. So when you build the room, when you build your dining room, you'll build it that big. Or it takes this much space for a living room and a couch. And if I want to put end tables in my bedroom with my bed, you'll just kind of get the hang of it. But until then, until you get to that point, go to the items that you want to buy while you're building the room so that you can kind of map out how big each little thing is and it doesn't look weird because you either have something too big or too small in the room. And don't be afraid to change. Again, the cool part of playing The Sims is decorating something that you personally don't have to live with and live in every single day of your life. So do something different. Don't design your house the same way you design the house that you live in. The last little how-to that I want to give you guys for this video is using styled rooms. I love to use the styled rooms because especially towards the end of my builds and decorating, I get tired. However, these designed rooms are huge. So if you don't have a big house, like you see here, I don't, your designed room is way larger than the space that you have. So anytime you see that yellow greenish highlight, that means that it's going to destroy what you already have there. That's okay. What you need to do when you get inside that styled room is just move the objects around to where it's not going to delete something that you want. I had duplicated that because I was going to do the same thing and I thought that I could just change the style, but I wanted like a girl's room and a boy's room or a pink room and a neutral room. So again, I think I do it a little bit because there's more stuff in this room that I have to move around. But you'll see me dragging with that tool. I moved the whole thing out because that's huge. But I'm just moving it smaller, moving it smaller. And if it's deleting something that I want to keep, I have to keep moving it smaller. And that's how you can easily use a styled room even in a smaller house. It works out. But that dollhouse is huge and it's just way too big. So then I just went downstairs to get the same doors that I wanted because it does come with doors, the styled rooms. Sometimes you don't realize that you have the door there and you need to find it. The windows will also change. So if you want all of your windows to match, like a more natural look, then you'll have to delete the windows that came in your room and add in the windows that you want. The styled bathrooms was just way too big. I have these little tiny bathrooms, so sometimes it's inevitable and you just have to build your own bathrooms. But don't be afraid, again, don't be intimidated or afraid of those styled rooms. They can be really helpful. Like, boom, you build a room in 10 seconds. You can't beat that. We're coming to the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching and interacting with me. If you want to ask questions in the comments or just give a little chat, I'd love to chat with other simmers. I don't know anyone that really plays the game, so it would be cool to have a community of sim builders and players. Again, this is Chelsea Cheese on SimTVcribs. I have not got my Twitch rolling yet, but I will get to it. I just need to learn how to use it. I hope that you learned something. If you have something to share with me, something that you see that I could be doing way easier than what I'm doing and how I'm living my life over here in Sims, please let me know. I hope that you enjoy this house. I am going to put it in the marketplace for you to download, and let me know how you like it. Give it a heart on Maxis and I would appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the house, guys. See you next time.